guys, it's Sid. Hope you guys had a good week. Welcome to my channel if this is your first time along, or if you've been here before, welcome back to my channel. This is going to be the first video in February. So for this, I think what I'm going to start doing is a monthly wrap-up of everything I read in the previous month. I think it can help me just kind of keep a better track personally of kind of what I read, what I enjoy, and like whether or not to kind of continue pursuing those either same authors or kind of same styles of books or even the same series. But yeah, so hop right into it. So the first book I read this month was Elk Speaks by John G. Neidhart. And it's an interesting book, not what I typically read, but if you guys watched my Christmas haul, you'll remember that I got it for Christmas. But yeah, it was actually really interesting. I really enjoyed it surprisingly. But if you're interested in kind of like Native American like culture or history or religion at all, it'll be a really great read for that one. But yeah, so it's all about Black Elk, and Black Elk was kind of like a native like Lakota visionary. He was a medicine man. He was just really influential. He had a really interesting life. He like knew a lot of famous people, like Crazy Horse was his like second cousin or something. But yeah, so it kind of tells a story about his youth, and like right around his youth was when the time that kind of white people came into the Dakotas and started to take over land. So he has a lot of interesting experiences. Kind of different battles that took place. He was kind of there, or like knew someone that was. But this was actually the complete edition as well, just because John D. Neidhart, when he wrote this book with Black Elk, he didn't like transcribe it word for word. He kind of put his own flair on it. So there's kind of some essays in the back that kind of take a look at it. There's also someone did some research and kind of like figured out like which parts exactly were different in like Neidhart's text versus like what the original transcription said, and then kind of made a note of that. So yeah, this is the actual complete edition, so it's a lot thicker than the other editions are. But yeah, so that's the first book I read. Really liked it. I think it'd be a good read for anyone who's kind of interested in, like I said, Native American history or culture or religion at all, or even honestly just generally kind of like early American history. It'd be a really good read as well. And honestly, like it looks really thick. It's like, yeah, it's pretty thick. You can tell there how thick it is. But if you don't get the complete edition, it wouldn't be nearly as thick. Like this first half is Black Elk Speaks, and this half is all the appendixes of kind of extra information. So if you didn't get the complete edition, it really wouldn't be as long of a read either. The next book I read was Burn for Burn by Jenny Han and Siobhan Vivian. And I really actually like this book quite a lot. This is my favorite one. Not the favorite one of the month, but my favorite one kind of this trilogy. But it's all about these three girls who they kind of connect in their life just because they realize that there's some people that they all kind of have issues with and that they all kind of believe deserve some revenge. So it was really interesting. It was really good look at that. It had some unique characters. There's also kind of a big twist you find out later in the series, which once you know it, like looking back on this book, you definitely kind of see a few hints kind of that they start to drop in the first one, but they're not as obvious or as noticeable. Like I didn't really, because I remember reading this for the first time like quite a few years ago. I never would have guessed that, and then I reread just kind of get back into the series and figure out what all happened. And I definitely kind of remember that big plot twist, and I definitely saw some tidbits in here. But it's a really good book, kind of contemporary with a twist. As I mentioned in my first book haul, I picked this one up at Goodwill. It's actually the thickest book of the trilogy, but it was really good as well. I actually really enjoyed this one. Like I said, this is kind of the one where you have to find out like the big twist. It becomes more obvious, more apparent, but it's really interesting. In this book is when the revenge starts to go wrong. But yeah, no, so pretty good read as well. The next book I read was Outlander Scotland by Phoebe Talpin. I kind of just wanted this for a quick little read. It's mostly pictures, but I enjoyed it. As I kind of mentioned, if you watched this my Christmas haul, I really am into Outlander. It's probably my favorite drama right now. I like historical pieces. And also I really just enjoy their accents and the scenery. It's really pretty, so I enjoy Outlander a lot. And this book is just all about kind of areas where they film, so I think someday it'd be really cool when I go to school if I could like maybe just go to Scotland for a bit and kind of travel around the country and kind of see some of these sites. On the back there's kind of a handy map that kind of gives you a quick little guide of like some of the main filming areas, so you can go and visit them really nicely. But yeah, it really wasn't a big read. It only took me like 30 minutes, but it was kind of fun. It was informational about the series as well. If you're interested in Outlander, I would definitely recommend this book. I can get it on Amazon for like $10 or $15. It's really not that bad at all. After Outlander Scotland, I picked up Ashes to Ashes, which is the trilogy finale for the Burn for Burn books by Jenny Han and Siobhan Vivian. But yeah, so in this was it's all about the conclusion of the series. You kind of figure out kind of what happens to all the characters, kind of how things end up, how their revenge work out, kind of what did they learn. But honestly, I'm not gonna lie, I think this one for me was like slower read than the first two were. Like I remember the first one I just like devoured like super fast. The second one not quite as fast, but it was also a thicker book. But this one for me, like I don't know, I just felt like it was a lot slower. Which I mean, I guess really kind of think about like what kind of really happened in here. If they wouldn't have put like the extra fluff in the filler, then like, obviously you wouldn't have kind of seen as much character development, and also it would have been a lot shorter of a book. I mean, it's already smaller than the second one. But personally, like, there is a bit of an epilogue at the end that kind of tells you not like the entirety of like the main characters' lives and how they ended up, but like it's kind of a little bit about what happened to them. And honestly, for me, like, the epilogue ruined it. Like, if it just would have ended kind of with the big bang at the end, I would have been content. But like, I just did not like the epilogue. I just don't agree with kind of how they ended things for their characters. I didn't like it. It's not how I would have done it. Obviously, I'm not an author, I guess, so I can't talk, because like, I'm sure any book I tried to write would be absolute trash. But yeah, I don't know. I just really didn't like that, and it really kind of threw the whole book off for me. So like, I just feel like I honestly will never ever read these books again. I enjoyed them mostly, except for this one. I read them once the whole way through, and I'm good, because yeah, honestly, the epilogue of this book just ruined the whole series for me. So that was that one. Probably like my biggest disappointment of the whole month. The next book I read was Into the Mist, is a Land of Elyon book by Patrick Carman. These ones, and this is probably a bit thicker, I think, of the 3 I've read. There are 5 in the series, and I have the first 4. But yeah, so I really enjoyed the Land of Elyon books. They're quick little reads. They're middle grade, definitely, probably younger middle grade, but I just really enjoy them anyways. I think it's a fun world that they've created. It has some interesting, more unique concepts. Obviously, I don't really love middle grade, but whatever. But yeah, so this kind of is a bit of a prequel. It kind of takes place, the part of it is like after the 3rd book happens, basically. You have a character kind of reflecting on his life that happened like way, way, way before the 1st book, and that's kind of like what the main kind of story is about, is like his adventures with his brother in their youth. So I think technically it's called a prequel, but I mean, there are main characters from like the first 3 books that are kind of listening to the story with you as it's being told, so it kind of happens both before and after book 3, but they're a fun little book to read, so I liked it. Okay, and the last book of the month I finished up was just done tonight, as I'm right before I'm filming this, and it is Haunted America by J.K. Kelly and James Willis. And I think it's fun because, I don't know, I like ghost stories. I kind of like the supernatural, paranormal, and this book is basically all about kind of places throughout the United States that have kind of hauntings attached, then things have happened there, or they're reported to be haunted. So I thought it was really nice. They kind of break it down into the 4 main areas. So there's the South, the West, the Midwest, and then like the Northeast. That's how they break up the areas, but kind of tells some of the most like famous haunted houses in the region. And I don't know, personally, I feel like I don't know if I necessarily believe in like the paranormal or the supernatural, just because I feel like it's something that I would personally have to experience like for myself in person, and like being able to completely rule out any kind of like manipulation by humans, just to like verify that's how it really happened, you know? So I think for me, I'm not entirely too sure if I do believe in ghosts and stuff like that, but I do enjoy watching movies about it. I enjoy kind of watching those ghost hunter shows once in a while, and I thought this book was really interesting. I think it would be really fun someday when I am rich. I'm kidding. When I have some time and a friend who's also into paranormal like I am, and it'd be really fun to kind of just travel around and like go to some of the more haunted places that this book mentions. I think that the number one for everyone, I would think, if you've any interest in hauntings, is the Winchester House. Actually, according to this book, it's really not necessarily the one that is known for like the most hauntings, so I think it's like the most famous, just because like, especially after the movie came out, I think people became a lot more aware of it. But I feel like everyone who's interested in the supernatural has to cross the Winchester House off of their list. There's actually quite a few more, but I really cannot remember offhand like any ones that really stuck out to me. I know there's a few kind of in the Twin City areas of Minneapolis, so I think someday would be really fun, because that's actually pretty close, like if I had like a weekend or something to go there and visit a few of these. But yeah, so if you're interested in ghosts or the paranormal or the supernatural, I would recommend this book. Looking at the tag, my mom got it from Kohl's, and once again, if you watch my Christmas haul, I got it for Christmas. And that was it for the month. So I read 7 books, and I'm very happy with how that total went. I set myself a goal on Goodreads and kind of to myself of reading 75 books this year, and I just don't really know, like I said, how exactly that's going to go, just because with school it is harder. And honestly, I did a lot of this kind of as well before classes started, like in the first few weeks of January, but now that school started, I think my reading will definitely kind of have to take a back seat, just because as much as I enjoy reading, I think I just don't have the time. Not even think, like, I know I don't have the time right now to really like read as much as I'd like to. And the summer, like, who knows, after I graduate in May, I'm really still not sure what I'm going to be doing yet, whether it's going to be a career or like a job or what else, or where I'm going to be going. So I am 7 out of 75 books down, and I'm pretty happy with that. I think it was pretty good for January. Pretty good first month. I mean, at that rate, I will definitely hit my 75 target goal. So I'm happy about that. I'm not really quite sure what I'm going to read next. I need to go home and kind of see what books I have on hand. But that's something to worry about. Not right now, because I'm so far behind in my Spanish classes, it's not even funny. So that's like all I had for this video. Next week, I need to actually see, I'm really hoping, I have an idea that I want to do, and it's gonna be for the holidays, for Valentine's Day kind of themed, and there's just like kind of like one technical thing I need to figure out if I can do on my laptop. So yeah, I hope you guys have a good week though, and I will see you then. Bye!